Hey, you paradoxical bards and bardettes. Welcome back to iCast Fish's Mockery. I'm Austin.
I'm Matt.
And, but you know what? Before we really dig into show topics and things, I think we're going to be on hiatus next week. For the first time in iCast Fish's Mockery history.
No, but...
What?
No, I'm pretty sure we've
missed a whole week?
Oh, no. We've uploaded late.
We've uploaded late, yeah. Mostly due to technical issues.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've missed a whole week of recording and posting a video.
Yeah, that's probably true. We are considering uploading a video late, though.
Yeah, we might do that. We'll see. We didn't finish talking about it.
Yeah, we didn't really fully discuss it.
We'll have to see how the schedules shake out.
Yeah, I don't know what my schedule is like that week yet, so I guess I'll just have to figure it out. We'll have to figure it out later.
Oh.
But yeah.
What about like a stream?
Oh.
I mean, we just hang out and stuff, but
we stream and then upload it, maybe?
Yeah, we could do. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to stream on Twitch, though. I don't think you can stream on YouTube unless...
I can stream on my personal YouTube, but that's because I already had it, and I had some videos on it when they were introducing the feature. So I actually have I might even be able to do community posts. I forget. I have some features that they were like, oh, we're going to experiment with this. Try it out.
Oh, and so they just like never took it away from you?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. That's fun, but I don't think we'll stream from that. I think we'll do it on Twitch.
Yeah, probably on Twitch.
Oh shoot, we better make a Twitch
account,
Twitch channel. Twitch. What are they called?
Channel.
They are a channel, right?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Oh, because it's twitch.tv, so of course it's a TV channel.
Right.
Okay, yeah, we can. Yeah. Yeah, so we might do like a stream or something.
Yeah, we might streamy it.
Yeah. I don't know what we would stream yet. We'll figure that out.
Maybe just an episode. But we're going to do it live.
Ooh. That sounds like a bunch of technical issues waiting to happen.
Absolutely.
Although actually our setup won't be that different.
No.
We'll have to figure out how to get the audio into OBS, but
oh, right. I see what you mean.
We'll be able to do that. That's not a problem. We'll just need Voicemeeter again.
No.
Yeah.
That was the cause of all of our problems before, was Voicemeter.
Sort of. I think I get it even more now, so we'll be all right. I mean, I have no clue how that program works. No, but
you understand it better.
Yeah. Like on a scale from 1 to 10, I went from a -5 to a -3.
Whoops.
I don't think that's gonna.
No, but I definitely meant to put it on Do Not Disturb and just didn't. Okay.
Yeah, I probably should have done that with mine. Sorry if the video vibrates, guys.
That did happen.
Yeah, it did.
In a recent episode.
Yeah.
The video was just like.
Yeah.
For a second.
So I watch the episodes back when I make the show notes. I watch them back at almost 3 times speed, or usually 3 times around there. And last episode there was some like weird flickery light stuff that happened at that speed.
Oh.
Like I don't think it happened in normal speed.
Like haunted house?
No, like
flickering?
Like a little bit, I guess. It was like, yeah, it was a little bit like that.
All right, so you just reminded me. I went to Kennywood the other day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you go on the new roller coaster?
Yeah, I did. The Steel Curtain, the Steelers,
the Steelers themed roller. Yeah, I forgot that's what it was.
Yeah, I sure did.
How was it though?
Yeah,
was it a good coaster?
Fun. That was a good. It was good. It has 9 inversions.
Ooh.
8 depending on who you ask, because some people consider one of them to be 1, but some people consider it to be 2. Anyway, it's called a banana. I don't know. It's called a banana. A banana split. No, a banana invert. I don't know. It has the word banana in it. Anyway, Um, yeah, Kennywood has like 2 pretty decent sized coasters and a bunch of other stuff.
Mhm.
And that's what it has.
Well, it's got a bunch of fun like wood coasters and stuff.
The wooden
I like
coasters
those.
are cool. The wooden coasters are pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is also cool. Like the Jackrabbit apparently is 100 years old. It was built in 1920,
Yep.
so it's 100 years old
Yep.
now. And it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I mean, it's not like, oh, whatever, old technology. No, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool thing.
I always used to try to fly out of the seat on it, which I could do because of my
Yeah.
tiny little kid legs sitting next to my full grown parents. I could just slide right out,
Slide right out.
of the lap bar.
That's fun.
Mhm.
On a coaster like that, that's really not that dangerous.
No, I mean, yeah, it's pretty dangerous, but also at the same time, like I would have only fallen maybe 30 something feet or whatever,
Yeah,
and not the 200 feet of other roller coasters. Yeah.
right. Of other roller coasters in Kennywood,
Mhm.
Phantom's Revenge drops 200 feet twice.
Mhm.
That one's fun. It's fun because it goes like through and around other roller coasters,
Mhm.
and it because it follows the natural terrain of Pennsylvania, which is just hills everywhere. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because the steel curtain is big and like does a lot of cool stuff, but it doesn't really use the terrain at all.
Oh, that's
really.
disappointing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's actually pretty. It doesn't take up a lot of space in the park either, though they probably don't have a lot of space because
Yeah, there's not a
It's-
lot of space.
Pittsburgh, they can't really expand.
No, I mean you could. It
Very
would just
much.
go into the river, or I guess, like off a cliff into the.
Yeah, we were talking about. I went with Jen. We were talking about on the way because the incline on Phantom's Revenge and the Steel Curtain is kind of a long one, like
Mhm.
the click up. We were talking about how like there's like this factory just spewing smoke that you can see across
Yeah.
the river over there.
Beautiful.
It's amazing. Pittsburgh's a magical place. But we were talking about how they should really just expand Kennywood into that factory. And they don't even have to shut down the factory. Just build a roller coaster around and through it.
They basically did that.
Yeah, did they?
Yeah, that one indoor thing. I think it's closed now, but it was like the Exterminator.
It's not
Most
closed.
recently?
I went on the Exterminator.
Oh, okay, it is still there.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That one's fun too. I like that one.
Mhm.
It's that one's cool. It's got good theming. It's actually, I think it was the best theming of the any coaster there.
It used to be a totally different ride
any
in the
ride
same
there.
building.
Really used
Yeah.
to be a different ride.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was a similar concept, like a small coaster. What are those called? There's a name for that.
Wild Mouse, I think is what.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
call it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Wild Mouse coaster
Mhm.
that spin and like jerk you around
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, you've played Roller Coaster Tycoon.
I have not
Oh,
actually,
never mind.
but I went with basically a roller coaster encyclopedia. Jen knows a lot about roller coasters.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I will say, so the theming there was really good, and one thing that you probably would find funny is that we went on the what's the like haunted house type thing.
Oh, the Noah's Ark one?
No, the one
Or-
where you pew the ghosts, but they're not doing that right now.
Oh, yeah. I
They're-
don't remember what
They're
it's
like
called.
gonna put it back in whatever it's called. I legit got scared in that.
Huh.
There was like one thing. I was on the right side of the car, and there was one room where you like go in it and you're just like, oh yes, I see all the things in there. And then something perfectly in my peripheral vision like did like the drop stop thing that
Mhm.
happens so often in those. And I did not notice it there when we like first rode in the room. I was looking the opposite direction, and it like escaped my periphery completely until it like made that motion. And I was like, ah, and like moved out of the way. It got me.
It's a trap.
It got me. Yeah, it is.
I put my eyebrows up real high. for all you audio listeners at home there, because that's what we wanted to talk about today, isn't it?
Yes, we want to talk about traps. Well, that segues into another thing.
Oh, okay, go for it.
So, I wanted to talk about this a couple of episodes ago, but 2 weeks ago now, I was watching Onward, the Disney Pixar movie.
Mhm.
Have you seen
I've
it?
seen it. Yeah.
You have seen it?
Mhm.
Something that you might not know, that I found very fascinating about it. Well, first of all, it's very D&D inspired.
Yeah.
Like very clearly, even somebody who's never played D&D can see the, what it's all about. But there was one part of that movie.
Mhm.
They took a trap, one of the most infamous traps, which I believe, and I'm not an expert on any of this, so please in the comments tell me that I'm wrong. That's fine. I believe it's from Tomb of Horrors,
Mhm.
like one of the hardest D&D supplements ever. But they used it in the movie at the end. So spoilers? I don't know. I think they used 2 traps from Tomb of Horrors, actually, in the end. But one of the most infamous ones is they're running down a hallway, or they're walking down a hallway, and then the door behind them closes, and a gelatinous cube, like comes down,
Yeah.
and starts going toward them very slowly. And then they start rushing forward, but somebody steps on a pressure plate and there's a spike pit that
Mhm.
opens up, right? So how that would work in Tomb of Horrors is exactly that way. The gelatinous cube would fall down, everybody would run away from it.
Mhm.
Somebody would trigger the spike trap, and anybody who fell into the spike trap would take all that damage.
Mhm.
And if they didn't die from the spike trap, the gelatinous cube would fit perfectly into the spike trap, which is what happens in the movie too,
Mhm.
and would finish them off. And it was considered to be like an ingenious trap because one part of the trap caused the other part of the trap to happen, but then also is the conclusion of it as well.
Yeah.
It was like a Rube Goldberg machine,
Mhm.
almost, of circumstance.
It's like it sort of feels like a Chekhov's gun situation, right? Like where you have the gelatinous cube, that's the setup, and something has to happen with it.
Right.
Then you fall into the spike pit, and then just immediately there's the payoff on the gelatinous cube. Right after that, it comes and falls down the spike pit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty. It's like a very standard 1-2 setup like that. But I don't know. There's something good. There's something poetic.
Right.
about
Because
it.
it's so simple.
Right.
It is so simple and yet so effective,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the key with traps.
Yeah, I don't like them.
I didn't think I did either.
Maybe you can convince me. I'd like it if you could convince me.
So what is it that you don't like about traps?
I feel like they are basically just they're sort of like a lack of conveyed information to the players. Um, like if you tell them, "Hey, there's a trap here," then they don't really have to. Then it's not really a trap; it's a skill challenge.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's only a trap if they don't know about it. And then, like, what kind of play style are you trying to encourage from your players? You know, is does it make things more interesting for them to tiptoe everywhere and like carefully feel out every? I don't know if it does or not, but I don't think so.
No, you don't want to encourage your players to do that.
Right.
That's true.
So that's I feel like traps do that, but maybe there's a way to implement them that I'm not aware of. And I'd like to be.
I don't know necessarily that you're not aware of, but I think there are ways to implement traps that are a lot better.
Well, thank you for giving me that credit. You didn't have to, but thank you.
Sure. So okay. I think that traps. Well, let me start off by saying,
Mhm.
again, the part that of the game that you guys just went through, the
Right.
part that you just played,
Yeah.
I randomly generated that whole thing,
Mhm.
and it had traps in it. But I think what made I didn't really like them either, and I think that the reason why is just because like what was the point? Like what were they? Where did they come from? What were they doing there? Why on these doors but not these ones? Why in this hallway but not anywhere else? Um, there really was no rhyme or reason to it.
Right.
There was no significance to any of them in particular. But I think that the key to making traps interesting is to give them some kind of reason or purpose. And maybe even they don't always maybe they don't always do anything directly to the players. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that one of the instances of traps that I think of a lot, because I'm a weeb, but also just because of how interesting it was
It's
to me.
Haku and Naruto.
Well, that's a different kind of trap.
All right, sorry.
Uh, I think of Death Note. Have you seen Death Note?
Nope.
You haven't seen Death Note?
Yeah, I'm
Wow,
not too interested in it.
you're not interested in it.
No.
It's really good.
No.
It's good.
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
I
What do you?
strongly doubt that it's that good.
I mean, it's not like the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just tried to tell me it was the best thing you've ever seen.
That's not what I was
I
going to
don't think I
say.
believe that it's the best thing you've ever seen.
It is not.
I don't believe that it is.
Good.
But I also don't believe what you're saying right now,
Okay.
that it's not.
Sure.
So what do I believe?
What do you know what do you believe?
Okay, but tell me about Death Note.
Okay, so there's this there's a part in the show where you know what the basic premise is, right?
Mhm.
There's a college or
Yeah,
well,
he's
high
like a
school.
musician, but he can't hear.
No, you're thinking of Death Note. This is Death Note with a TH.
Oh, that one.
Yes, that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. Yeah, I got you then.
Got it. Okay, so high school kid finds a notebook. He finds out if he writes a name in it, that person
They can no longer hear.
dies.
Oh,
Yeah, interesting premise.
yeah.
He decides to use it in his own
Wait,
self-righteous
how
way.
did he find out about it?
What do you mean?
How did he find out that writing somebody's name in it made them die?
There are instructions in the
Okay.
book.
I was gonna say, like, did he like write down his crush's name in there, like some guy? Like,
Well, they say in the show they're like, well, most people the first thing that they do when they pick it up is they write their own name in it, like, hey, this is my notebook now, and they put their own name in it, and then they die. Apparently, that's what happens a lot when people pick up a Death Note.
Okay.
But he was like, no, that's dumb. There's no way this is real. But then he was like, well, just in case. So then he tried it out on some dude who was in prison or whatever.
Mhm.
And then it worked, and he was like, no way. And then he like tried it again. And he's like, holy crap, this thing works. Anyway, so the police start to suspect that he's the one who's behind all of these mysterious deaths.
Mhm.
He gets found out like pretty fast. I think like episode 2, they're like already onto him.
Mhm.
And he spends basically the rest of the show trying to shake the police off of his trail, and like
Mhm.
he's trying to win basically. So he has to like act as normal as possible because they put cameras in like in his room, and like they bug his room and stuff. But the way he finds out that they did that is because whenever he left his room, he did a couple of things. First, he put a piece of paper in the door jamb.
Right.
So if somebody opened the door, the paper would fall, right? But then he also put a piece of pencil lead against the side of the door on like the inside where the hinge is. So if
Mhm.
somebody opened, the pencil lead would break, basically.
Mhm.
So that he would know for sure, like the paper didn't just fall out on its own. But then also, every time he leaves his room, he's got one of those like doorknobs that like not like a circly one that you twist, but like one of the like uh how do you describe that? Like a
Like an
straight,
L shape.
like an L,
Yeah.
yeah, like that you push down, right, to open the door. He purposefully every time he leaves his room leaves it down very slightly so that it's not like perfectly level. He
Mhm.
like pushes it down so that it like stays in a specific spot. So he did all of that stuff because he wanted to know who went into his room. Because he knew if it was anybody in his family, they wouldn't even notice it wouldn't notice anything. They wouldn't notice the paper, they wouldn't notice the lead, they wouldn't notice anything.
Mhm.
And if everything was completely wrong, then he was probably safe. But if the paper was back in the door jamb, which it was,
Mhm.
he knew that that had to be somebody better, somebody more skilled, somebody
Right.
who knew that what
Wait,
they were
I'm gonna
doing.
keep it going.
Okay.
If if um
Mm-hmm.
if the handle was back up or back where it was, then they'd have to be even better or whatever. But if the lead was back and it was in one piece, then that means that they were watching him. Like they would have had to have seen him do that at some point.
Yeah. Basically.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know what the handle significance is actually with the other three, but yeah, I could get how
it,
you could feel it out.
right. Right. Well, it was like a 3 metric system
Mhm.
because the door handle could just like have gone back up.
Mhm.
Right. So if it was just the door handle was level and the paper was back, that could be a fluke. But if
Mhm.
the pencil lead was broken, somebody definitely opened the door and they put the paper back,
Mhm.
which means that they know that they were paying enough attention to do that. And they didn't want him to know they were in there,
Mhm.
which is also kind of a significant thing. There's a lot of mind game stuff. It's one of those things that when you're a teenager and you watch it, your mind is blown of how smart this guy is. But in reality, if you came up with it in a vacuum on your own, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Really.
Yeah.
I've watched through the entirety of Death Note, I think 3 or 4 times now. And every time I watch it now, I'm kind of like, I don't know, the logic kind of fails here in some places. It doesn't have a lot of rewatch value.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a show written by a genius detective. It's written by a manga author, so
Right, exactly. Exactly.
It's like, well, they're good at writing manga. They might not be a genius detective, and that's fine.
And that's fine. Yeah, I'm not putting it down. I don't think it's a bad show. I like it actually. I like Death Note quite a bit. I'm just saying it doesn't really watching it a second time is good, but I wouldn't watch it any more than twice probably. Diminishing returns. I think that's the term. Anyway, so like a trap could be like, what if a trap was something that they don't even know happened?
Yeah, I feel like that's bad conveyance. It like doesn't like okay, so a thing happened, but how does that affect what the players are doing? I mean, you know.
Um, their actions still had like consequences. They had
Yeah, but like so I only think a trap is any good
okay.
if there's some reason that the players could have like if they could have intuited that something is up and done something about it, then I think that that's a good trap. But I think if it's just basically anything else is just random. Like you could just roll a die and have the effect happen on a certain roll of them missing the trap, and it would be the same as them stumbling into it.
So, are you thinking that something like Mission Impossible, where all the lasers are visible and they have to avoid them, But no, because then it's just a
no,
skill
I'm
challenge.
thinking something like, what's the one with the Catherine Zeta-Jones?
What?
Whatever spy movie Catherine Zeta-Jones is in.
I don't know which one you're referring to.
All right, but so the lasers are invisible,
Okay.
but she has reason to expect that there are lasers there, so she does the
Oh, the
and,
the makeup thing.
yeah, the makeup thing, and
Yeah.
then you see
Then
the
you
lasers.
see the lasers.
Right. That's, to me, that's a good trap. Is like, you know, you kind of get what you're walking into. You're not entirely sure what obstacles you're up against. And then you get a feeling like, oh, hey, this could be, and like you there are a lot of ways to give hints to the players, I think. Whether it's NPCs talking about, people getting hurt or killed in certain ways, or literal corpses in the dungeon, or uh, like different,
Right.
like you could point out stuff about the environment that they ask about, like, hey, are there a bunch of scuff marks over here? Like, what's going on over it? That sort of thing. But I feel like I feel like that's a necessary part of traps in D&D. I still think I could be sold on the idea that, like, they can just be a hidden thing. Yeah, I don't know though.
What about, okay, hear me out on this.
Mhm.
You take your rogue
Mhm.
or your artificer or whoever is a trap expert, and as the DM, and you just give them a list. It doesn't have to be a big list, but a list of traps that they're familiar with and that they know.
Okay, yeah.
And then some of them are red herrings, maybe, like they'll never come up.
Right.
But a couple of them they'll encounter, and you just give like an extra detailed description about something that has to do with that trap. That way the player still has to infer something on their own.
Right.
And if they miss it, that's kind of on them still, because they have the information that they need to put it all together.
I like this a lot. I like where you're going with this. Like, for instance, you tell them, all right, here are some traps you could look out for. And then you give them like 4 or 5 details that could be like, hey, this is an indicator of a trap.
Yeah.
Now, this is a ton of work, but
not necessarily.
Maybe we're going to do all the work for you in our Kickstarter book coming out this November 12th.
We bumped it to November.
We bumped it to November.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. All right.
No, but seriously though, like, actually, that's a good D&D supplement. We might
actually be able to, because that's an interesting.
I don't know if we could sell it necessarily or anything like that, but hey, dude. I mean, yeah,
we might be able to sell it to Wizards of the Coast. No,
that's just called getting hired, I guess, isn't it?
Oh, well, maybe.
But no. But I do think people would be interested in that, because the idea of like because then you have the master list of like, these are all the possible details that could give away this trap. And you see like, all right, well, I mentioned one of these, and then they have maybe 30, 40, 50 things, 50 different little details they can be looking for. And they might not notice it soon enough. Somebody might stumble into the trap before they've looked around. Do I suddenly hate this now though? Because now everybody else is like looking around, and this character's looking at their sheet, going like, all right, did he say this? Did he say this? Did he say this? Did he say this?
Well, that's why I think it can't be too many. That's why I think it should only be like a handful of things. I don't think that there should be traps everywhere in D&D anyway. Personally, I mean, what kinds of places would have traps? Places where people don't want.
Places where people would booby into them.
You're right. No, not necessarily. Places where there's something worth protecting.
Like inside of your heart.
You'll be in my heart.
All right, but
sorry.
But okay, no, So
I
wouldn't most of the traps be in the party itself and the friends we made along the way or something? No, anyway,
Hey, if you want to make a trap character, that's up to you. I mean,
wait, no, okay, I like this. I like this idea.
oh,
Yeah, like I don't know. So like if you touch them, it sets off an alarm or something, right? Like this kind of thing. This is the start of the trap. They are just a shambling series of traps. They're just like somebody animated 52 different traps that are now walking around like acting like it's a person.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but what if there's a trap wizard?
You're talking about some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff right now.
Yeah, there's a trap wizard and he walks around with his little drums and his weird remixed music and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trap music is.
Yeah.
I see. The the 808.
Mm. Is the no. The whatever kind of symbols they use in trap are like to me the defining feature of trap drums.
Anyway, so okay, so I don't have them like ready or available right now at this moment, but I have encountered subclasses that are basically like trap master.
Mm.
I've seen some that are like wow, rangers. I've seen some like ranger trap masters.
Mhm.
Actually that might be an official one. They're pretty underpowered, I would say.
Yeah.
But then I think that there's like an unofficial artificer subclass I've seen. That's like this guy's all about making traps.
Yeah. Well, I think players making traps is good gameplay. Could be fun. What I worry about there, and I hadn't thought about this before at all, but what I would worry about there is when the plan comes down to, all right, let's make a trap, then the gameplay shifts to just that one person. But I think that depends on the group, and probably in most cases you can navigate it pretty well, as long as you don't have a player who's too annoying.
too into themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And their character. Yeah.
In which case it wouldn't work for us, obviously.
Right. I mean, we all know who it is that's way too into themselves and their character. Am I right?
Yeah, I've definitely you're right.
Sure.
I'm thinking of the same
person
you are.
Yep, sure.
Same guy or girl as you're thinking of.
Same.
Yeah, I can see it in your eyes. It's our perspectives are matching up. Yeah.
So anyway, the supplements I've seen, the Unearthed Arcana, the UA, the unofficial content, that I've seen of Trap Masters, it just doesn't seem to really work with D&D so much, because D&D is like you fight the monster.
Yeah.
Traps are an interesting part of it, but I feel like you would need something with, I think it needs.
It's hard to balance it because it's hard to make the trap good enough to do real damage and be decisive, but at the same time not be so overpowered in combat, and so you have to give it like a time limit, but then time outside of combat is flexible.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's really hard to do. Like the 4 hour, sorry, how long is a short rest? 2 hours?
A short rest is, I believe, an hour.
Oh, 1 hour. Okay.
Maybe, maybe it is 2 hours.
Whatever it is. But
right.
Spells that last like half of a short rest or a short rest, That's easy. Spells that last half of a long rest or a long rest, that's easy as well, because you know like roughly how long it needs to be before that spell's over. But the trouble comes with like a 10-minute spell. I know they exist.
Yes.
There are plenty of them. But at the same time, 10 minutes is just, the idea is just, it's too long to use in battle, but you can use it any other time.
You mean
That's basically what they're trying to go for.
you mean the casting time or the
Mhm.
duration?
Casting time.
10 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the traps would probably have to be. Like
Yeah.
it'd be able to do like 100 damage with the trap in one go, as long as it works. And then, God, like what if it misses?
It's also high risk, high reward. Well, yeah, that's kind of what you're saying now.
Mhm.
It's kind of high risk, high reward because what if they just don't fall for it? Like, what if they don't trigger the trap?
Mhm.
That's always possible. Maybe they see it.
Right.
Maybe they can see it.
Maybe they saw you laying it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because you can't do it in combat.
No.
And it also really banks on you being able to lure the enemies to you when you want them to.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? A lot of D&D ends up being you're in like enemy's territory.
Mhm.
There isn't a lot of D&D that's like they're coming to you. Well, it can be, but adventurers don't really stay in one place
No, yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah, because that's a boring story,
right.
right? Like story-wise, we want the adventurers to,
Have agency.
yeah, and be active, right? Like I'm going places, I'm doing things. That's it actually. Just going places and doing
If they're
things.
going places and doing the I am sitting on my couch waiting for adventure to come.
My life is really good. I will just wait here. Thank you. This is a fun game.
I like
I enjoy
this.
the part of this game where my character is good and doesn't need to go and fight. My character is content with their life. I win the game?
Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think so.
That's how real life works, right? No.
I hope not.
I sure hope not.
Because so I've got this problem.
Okay. I know you do, but anyway.
With this particular problem
Oh, okay.
is that I am happy no matter what.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
That does not sound like a problem, does it?
Not at face value, but please.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
So the issue is that I don't want anything.
Yeah, I see that now. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. But I want to want things. That's the only thing I want. So I lied when I said I don't want anything. Because I feel like if I don't do things and make something of myself, then my opportunities to do good things for other people are severely limited. And I'd like to do some of that before I die.
Could happen anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had dinner with my sister, who I haven't seen in a while.
Mhm.
My half sister.
Which half of her?
Haha. And we talked about that quite a bit because I don't know really. I could go a lot of different directions with my life from now on, from this point forward, and it's kind of really stressing me out that I could do anything that I want.
Right?
Like,
which sounds amazing.
Yeah, doesn't that sound? It sounds great.
It sounds
right?
like D&D.
Yeah, I could go anywhere, do anything,
Yeah,
and I'm
but
like,
you need a DM to tell you what to do.
yeah, I'm like, where, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what. I have a general sense of, do you want to do this? No. Would you like to do this? Yeah. Well, that would be cool, but it's impossible to find to just do it for me.
Mhm.
You know. We talked about that too a couple episodes ago. But I think that in that's why D&D is fun, and real life isn't always fun.
Yeah.
Because in D&D you have agency, and whatever you want to do is exciting and cool no matter what.
Right.
If you have a good DM.
Right.
And in life, if you go out and try to do something exciting, it could turn out to be terrible. And so a lot of people don't even
Mhm.
try.
Right.
Um,
You're risking stuff,
you're
right?
risking stuff.
Yeah.
Because you only have so much time.
Right.
Whereas in D&D, you kind of don't only have so much
Yeah.
time.
I mean,
Like,
there is a reason that some characters get feats that make them immortal.
right.
And that is that the lifespan of a character in D&D is very short compared to a real life lifespan.
Yeah.
Even though they live for hundreds of years or whatever, sometimes to us it's a year, 2 years, 5 years. But even that isn't long.
Right. Right. Yeah. D&D is a really, really fun game. I like it a lot. We're not really talking about traps
Start
anymore.
a podcast about it. No, I did have a thought about traps.
Okay.
And that is, all right, so the pyramid that you had us go into,
Yes.
obviously a pyramid is going to have traps in it.
I thought that was pretty obvious.
That's just the
too.
thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we started looking for traps right away, and it was very natural.
Right.
The other thing is that if you know what kind of person you're looking for when you go into the villain's lair or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you'll know whether or not to look for traps.
Yes.
So part of it could be you like sussing out beforehand before you get to the actual like exploratory delving into the dungeon bit. Like the players maybe if they're not doing a good job of figuring out what it is that they're going to need to do, maybe they should die to the traps. Maybe we don't need to communicate them that well if the players don't seem to care enough about their characters to even do the most basic scouting of any sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending on the campaign too, though. Like,
right.
I think in Cataclysmic Rift that you're running, there are enough of us that are as new as I am to this stuff, which is everybody, except for Paul, I think.
Yeah, Paul has the
He's
most
experienced.
experience out of all of us, I think.
But the rest of us are pretty new at this. And so like I would miss stuff like that all the time. And I don't like talking to NPCs in the town. And I run into all these problems, right? I actually don't not like it. Okay, it's complicated. We'll talk about that another time.
You just don't. That's not your first.
I just want to go do stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to go fight the game. I want to go beat the bad guy.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
Cool. I think you're gonna like the next arc. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, there's some. So there is something to say about. On one hand, you sort of want to. What's the word I'm looking for? Break through, go beyond, above and beyond. Whatever the norm is, like you want to get. God, there's a phrase that would really convey what I'm trying to say really well, and
I have no clue.
I'm not getting it here. Anyway, like everybody wants to do more, to break free of like cliches and stuff.
Right.
People don't, but cliches kind of exist in a way so that you can convey a lot of information with.
Mm-hmm.
You can convey a lot of information with little communication.
Right. Why use many word when few word do trick?
There you go. So it's like
that's The Office. That's Have you watched The Office?
Not really.
I haven't really either. But when I say I haven't really, I mean my older brother and his wife have watched it, I think like 10 times. Uh-huh. And also my whole family has watched through it like twice. Like when it was originally airing and then like immediately after, basically. And I happened to be in the room a lot for that. So
I have seen the occasional episode. I have not like watched it. I have not ever in my life decided I'm going to watch The Office.
Well, I figured out what we're going to stream.
Me watching The Office?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's not a good thing to stream.
No, that's probably not that.
Well, we do get to
entertaining.
see you cringe a lot though, and that's great.
Uh-oh. Really? Is it pretty cringy?
Yeah, I think especially the beginning, it's like extremely cringy sort of humor, where like the characters do something so stupid and inane and like almost like they're not even people, right?
Yeah.
I guess they're not.
Right.
But
They're characters, but
yeah, but like the whole premise of the show is that these are just people who we put on camera
mhm.
and they know that they're on camera and that's why they're acting like idiots.
Right.
So yeah, that's what it's about. So yes, you'll cringe right into yourself. You'll just
Yes, I've seen like the hardcore parkour clips.
Oh, that's not even the cringy
And-
stuff. That's just fun. That's hilarious.
Wow.
No, there's like yeah, there's some
Putting
stuff that's
Dwight Stapler and Jello. I don't know. Seen stuff.
nope,
like
that's just funny. That's just a funny prank.
that is pretty funny actually.
No, the cringy stuff is like when the one character promised to pay for college for a bunch of kids and has to go up and tell them all that he actually can't afford to pay for all their college. And he goes up and like starts joking first.
He starts joking.
Yeah,
for-
he like that's how he they're assembled and he goes up to give them like a little talk and he like makes some jokes and stuff like a pleasant normal talk. Yeah.
All right.
And then you go, "Oh no." Even though like it's obviously all not real, but
right.
at the same time.
Okay.
I think that's a thing about D&D though, isn't it? Like the empathy for the characters, the like especially
Well,
for the
sure.
player characters. They're the least real out of all the characters because you know that you're puppeting.
Puppeteering.
Anyway, you're playing this character.
Yes.
Puppeting.
Puppeting, I think, is the right word.
Puppeting is not a word. It's not a word.
You've said it one too many times now. Now it really
One was
doesn't-
one too many times. It's not a word, I guess. Anyway, though,
This is now a linguistics podcast.
it always is.
Always has been.
You know what? You know why there are so many of those?
Because you just talk on
Yeah.
podcasts.
Yeah, that must be it. You talk a lot, and you're like, I just realized I don't know how to do this.
What is?
What if I learned how how this worked?
How come nobody ever taught me how to talk?
Yeah. Or like what words are and how you make them and stuff.
It just
And then they start a linguistics podcast.
ours is becoming one. It's closer and closer to becoming one every day.
Can I tell you about my favorite form of Japanese verbs?
Okay.
It's what's it called? The like passive negative form.
Ah.
So it's to take the verb to forget
Mm-hmm.
and change it to unforgettable.
Okay.
You go from wasurete. No, that's wasuru is to forget. Wasuru, something like that. Wasuru. There's tones in Japanese, but not tones. It's like emphasis tones. Anyway,
Mhm.
Wasuru is like to forget, and you don't say the verb in that form because, like, you don't say, "Oh, I to forget where I put my pen."
Yeah. Sure.
So that's the like base form that nobody says. Wasurete is like forget it, like forget it, or
Sure.
it's like I forgot, like whatever. But wasure is one word, and that means unforgettable. But you take the base form and then you add the like da, which makes it passive or whatever, and then the de, which makes it like past perfect tense or whatever. So it's like, like like it's already happened sort of, but not really, you know what I mean? And then you add the nai to make it negative, because it would normally be wasurerare te, or like wasurerareru.
I learned how to say something in Japanese recently.
What?
Parepisu! I didn't know how to say that before, but now I do. I just want to show up at a bar in Japan. I just want to like kick the door in, and that's the first thing I say. I just yell at all the patrons. I say "Parepisu!" and just see what happens.
Yeah, do that. I think that they would actually, that's probably one of the rare occasions where you could charge into somewhere in Japan and shout something and everybody would be like, heck yeah.
Exactly. That's like the one. That's what I thought. I was like, that's like the one phrase that you could say.
in like an izakaya, in like one of the little bars, like that.
Yeah,
that's the behavior. Like that's how you walk into the room and make friends.
Exactly.
Especially if you do that with some money handy to get some drinks for people. Dude, you just met your new best friend and the other 5 new best friends you just made in this bar.
Absolutely. Anyway, I learned that one. Circling back for a second though.
Yeah.
Oh no, did I lose it completely? Maybe I did. Hey, you want some homebrew?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do any rings today?
Nah.
All right.
We can come back to them.
We'll come back to them another time. I think that's fine.
I finally looked at the Adonalsium's name.
Yeah.
And I am more confused about how to say it now. So if that helps.
Well, this person's name is Harlequizzical.
That's good.
It's a good one, right?
That's a nice name.
We've had the... Oh, and you know what? Now that I'm seeing this, I've definitely done this one on the show before.
Oh, have we really?
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
Stop me if you've heard this one.
Okay, go for it.
We've definitely... This is the metaphysical dagger. We've talked about the
metaphysical dagger.
The metaphysical dagger.
What makes it metaphysical?
So it's a legendary weapon.
Okay.
It's a dagger.
Kind of like me.
Yes.
Just the legendary weapon part.
If you cast Identify, the spell, on this dagger, it identifies as an ordinary, regular dagger, non-magical. On a DC 15 perception check, the creature will realize that the dagger is too ordinary. It's just too plain, too normal. There's something off.
Right.
Because of how normal it is.
Right.
It entirely lacks unique or identifying characteristics. Like, you could not differentiate this dagger from another one, even if they look completely different.
Right. You'd be like, oh, well, they're the same thing.
They're the same thing. There's no wear and tear of battle. Nothing, right? So what this actually is it is the idea of a dagger, the idea concept of what a dagger is made into a physical form. The physical form and properties of the dagger cannot be altered in any way, mundane or magical. You can't do anything to this thing to change what it looks like. Or how it functions.
Right. That makes sense, because what would you change about it and it would still be the idea of a dagger? The only
way to destroy it is you would have to make every creature on the material plane completely forget and have no idea what a dagger is.
Which sounds like a fun thing to do.
It does kind of. So if a creature is damaged by this dagger, the idea of a wound from a dagger manifests into an actual wound. So it doesn't do actual damage, but it does conceptual damage that translates into actual damage. So damage dealt by the dagger ignores any resistances and immunities and can affect any creature, extraplanar entity, or god.
Does it have to be like sentient? Like it has to be able to think of what a dagger is? Does it have to know what a dagger is?
Well, it says damage dealt. Well, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't say. Creatures damaged by this. Yes. So it has to be a creature.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't necessarily have to have sentience, but it does have to be a creature. There are like automatons and stuff that have no sentience, but are technically creatures.
Yeah.
But an object would not be affected that way.
Right. Well, yeah. I just mean like, would it work on a dinosaur?
Just picking that one out of your hat.
Yeah, I just like fighting dinosaurs in D&D.
Yes, though they'd have no concept of a dagger.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as long as anybody else in the
the user can know what it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If anybody in the material plane knows what a dagger is, then it works this way.
So I haven't told anybody about this idea for like stupid game idea for an MMORPG.
Sure.
So, but here's the idea.
Okay.
You can arbitrarily reshape materials.
Okay.
And an AI, like basically, there's an AI person in the game who appraises what this thing is that you've made based on what other characters have called their thing. And then it has some certain physical properties based on how you shaped your thing. Now, I know that this would make it so basically a lot of people would be carrying around a lot of just adult toys, and somehow they would fool the machine learning algorithm to make it think that this gigantic, like sort of, you know what I'm talking about, is going to be, is a tiny dagger that moves at the speed of sound when you go to stab somebody with it. But I kind of like the jankiness of that. I don't know. I think it's a fun concept. I personally probably will never have time to program something like this.
Okay.
So I'll just put it out there.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, is this like you are the AI or you want to create an AI that would do
it would be in an MMORPG.
Oh, you want, okay.
So the AI would be one of the character, like NPCs. And you would make an object and then show it to them, and they'd be like, what do you call this thing? And then you would tell them what you think it is, and then they'd be like, huh, are you sure? Because it looks more like a blank. Or they'd be like, oh yeah, you're right, it is that. Depending on how it matches up with other people's answers for similarly shaped items and similar properties. But
yes,
then like also after I had that idea, I learned of the philosophical idea that maybe objects are not how they are shaped or what they're made of, but what they are used for. Like maybe that's how we think of them. Like what is a hammer? A hammer isn't a piece of metal on top of a piece of wood, because that's arbitrary. They can be whatever things, and basically as long as it's used to hit stuff and like you can hit in nails with it and you can do the other things that a hammer does, it's a hammer.
Right. Does that mean that it has to do that well, or that's just what it has to be used for?
It's just what it has to be used for.
So like,
I guess
you just take a rock and start
but that's a rock. You can use that for things that rocks do. Yeah, no, I'm not a philosophical expert.
I'm not a philosophy here.
I'm not a philosophy.
Let me tell you.
No, I think I am a philosophy. I'm not a philosopher.
Got it. That was one of my philosophy professors in college. That was he clearly had like a big pet peeve about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know how sometimes people are like, well, my philosophy on this is, I had a professor.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, he was like, no, you don't have a philosophy on anything. Philosophy is not something that is personal. Philosophy is something that is
like the whole thing is philosophy.
Right, exactly.
Like this is the tongue and the whole thing is philosophy. I get you.
Right. And ever since then, I can't unsee that. And anytime somebody tells me they have a philosophy about something, I'm like, nah, man.
I don't know. My philosophy about that is that like you can do whatever you want
Sure.
because a philosophy is just what it's used for. And what's a philosophy used for?
Wow, you're really going cyclical with this one, aren't you?
Yeah.
You just use philosophy to make philosophy obsolete.
That's right. A philosophy is used for accruing student debt.
So it's my sister told me today that there's like some like conspiracy theory that exists in Pennsylvania specifically, where they're like, yeah, man, all of the sorry, it's just really funny to me. All of the mechanic shops in Pennsylvania, they use the money for your state inspections to pay off the like not corporate the government leaders, so that they won't fix the roads, so that you have to spend more on your car because the roads are terrible in Pennsylvania and wear down your car like crazy. Like stuff breaks all the time.
Mm,
And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't know though. Because the roads in Ohio are worse. And the roads in New York are worse.
The roads in New York. The roads in New York are pretty bad.
Especially who is it? Seneca?
Seneca?
Yeah, the highway that goes through Seneca territory, because like New York and the Seneca people are like they're having some sort of disagreement about it.
They're like, no, you fix the roads. No, you fix the roads.
It's something like that. And because because you know, like the American government built the highway there. It's I-90.
Yeah.
So the American government built that, and then the Seneca people are like in charge of taking care of it for some reason, even though they don't use it. Like I don't think there's like even an exit in their territory. Maybe, you know, like it's like weirdly not theirs, but stuck. Like they're stuck with it.
Yeah.
That's so of course it's not getting taken care of. So you go into Seneca territory, and suddenly your car becomes a massage chair.
Oh yeah.
And now, so I say that, and it sounds like I'm blaming the Seneca people. I don't know who's to blame for this.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, just spitballing here, but I think the people who built the roads should probably take care of it.
I don't know if that's how the setup went. I have no clue.
But maybe there was an agreement. I don't know, I guess.
Right. There could have been an agreement. There could have been multiple changes in agreement since the inception of this. Like
who knows?
I don't know where we stand on it. And I will not take any side on it, except for hopefully I'll be able to stay on my side of the road. If my tire pops, I don't know though. I don't know which side I'll end up on. Yeah. Probably upside down is where I'll end up.
I don't think I've taken 90 that direction that far before.
Oh, I think it's before Buffalo.
It's before Buffalo?
Yeah.
Man, I can't remember the last time I drove to Buffalo though, I guess.
Or no, wait, was it on my way to Rochester? Maybe it's not 90 that I was on. I don't know for sure now.
I don't know. I haven't driven through New York, actually. The last time I went to New York City, I took a bus from Pittsburgh. So
so you missed all that.
So I didn't have to drive any of it.
So Rochester, you go a little further north than you would to go to New York City anyway. So
right, exactly. And we passed through Philly, like so. I don't know. That was like the halfway point or something. Yeah. Pennsylvania is bigger than you'd think. Like I drove from Pittsburgh to Washington D.C. Just last week, and man, my life sounds so exciting.
It does
on this show.
Yeah, what are you doing? What's with all this exciting new fun stuff you've been doing?
I promise my life is not as exciting as it sounds. Anyway, I drove to Washington D.C. from Pittsburgh recently, and like 80% of the drive is in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And then like 20%, like 10% in Virginia and like 10% in Maryland.
Mhm.
That's actually probably a lot. Probably it's more like 90% in Pennsylvania. It's like 5-5. Um, which is fascinating to me because it doesn't really take that long to drive there. From Pittsburgh, it's only like 4.5 hours, though it took us 6. That's how bad the traffic was.
I don't doubt that. That's all. That's like all I've ever heard about Washington D.C.
Well, none of it was
Is that
none of it
there's
was
like
in Washington D.C.
yeah, there's like this ring around it or something.
Yeah, there's
of
like a
this
protective
terrible
traffic barrier around Washington D.C. We hit
Dude.
one. Yeah.
All right, I have a homebrew item idea.
Okay.
It's starting to bubble up in my mind.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll get there eventually. We'll get there.
All right. Well, anyway, yeah, we hit like serious. Well, on the way there, the GPS was like, "Hey, traffic on this highway that you're driving down." Like, I'm talking like we're 2 hours into the drive, maybe no, an hour into the drive, and the GPS is like, "Hey, the road you're on, the traffic is backed up an hour and a half. Do you want to take a different way and shave off 30 minutes?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." So I did that. And then it was like, "Hey, traffic's backed up like 30 minutes up ahead. Do you want to take a route around that to like shave off 15 minutes?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then I got into stopped traffic in Virginia outside of DC. And then somehow hit stop traffic in Maryland outside of DC. I don't know why we went. Doesn't Virginia butt up against DC? Isn't it Virginia and Maryland? Aren't those the ones that are right up against Washington, DC?
Yeah, I think so.
Why did I come from the north, end up in Virginia, and then end up in Maryland before we went into Washington, DC? I don't know where the GPS was taking me.
Yeah.
Ain't that weird?
Yeah.
Am I thinking of the United States map incorrectly right now? I'm pretty sure I've got this right though.
I don't know. I've never been there.
You've never been to DC?
No, I've never been to the United States.
Oh, right. I mean,
or DC. Yeah.
You've never been to DC?
Mm-mm.
It's I like it there. I would never live there.
Nobody does.
No, not very many people do. Everybody lives in Maryland or Virginia. Nobody lives in Washington, D.C.
I do have a cousin who lives there.
I know somebody who, but no, they live in Maryland. They don't live in Washington, D.C. It's so expensive to live in Washington, D.C. There are apartments there, and the apartments are very nice. And I don't know what kind of job who works at the restaurants in Washington, D.C. I got to know. There's no way they make enough money to live there.
Right.
And do they drive an hour?
Dude, that's the problem everywhere.
Into Washington. Like, how does that happen? That's why nobody's working right now.
I know people who drive an hour and a half, like an hour to an hour and a half for retail jobs, paying below $10 an hour or thereabouts.
We have
and I think if I had to drive that far, I think it would be too expensive for me to afford that job.
Exactly.
To have to drive that. Not in my current car, actually, though. My car is a Toyota Corolla, and it gets pretty good gas.
I have good gas mileage too, and I feel that way. Like
but my car is so cheap to repair because it's a Toyota Corolla. Like everybody has one. Not everybody.
Mine should be cheap to repair.
Yeah.
If I took it anywhere except for the dealership. Pretty much. Yeah, man. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. How people could do that. And none of the cities around Washington, D.C. are cheap either.
No.
Baltimore is not a cheap place to live. But I will say that there is a nice thing that they have between Baltimore and DC where you can drive, you can park. They have like a parking lot where you park there. It's outside of DC. and pretty close to Baltimore. You can park there and take the metro into DC,
Mhm.
and then you can just take the metro everywhere.
Mhm.
And you take the metro back to your car and drive back home. That wouldn't be too bad,
Yeah.
because then you don't have to worry about the traffic.
Right.
I don't know why I'm getting so heated about this, but it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I do like the idea of having more of my commute time be like walking around and stuff like that, and less in a car.
Yes.
I do like that. At the same time, though, I do make good use of my in the car time. So
Yeah, if you have audiobooks, that's a nice time to
well, that's
listen to
on the way
that.
home. I listen to an audiobook so that way I can stop thinking about work.
Cool.
On my way there, I record myself talking and get a transcript of it so that I can plan my day. So that way I like know what I'm going to do when I get home. Because that time is very precious to me and I need to know what to do with it.
How long is your commute?
It is very short. It is maybe today it was like 20 minutes or 25 minutes or something. It was ridiculous because of doesn't matter. This is not good show topic. Usually it's like 12 minutes.
Yeah, mine's like on a good day it's like 5,
Mhm.
and on a bad day it's like 10.
Mhm.
I'm very spoiled in that
Yeah.
way.
Mine is still 12 minutes in the middle of the winter, like when it's snowy. So I'm lucky there too.
I think that's all
but
she wrote.
if I hit the school zones too much, then that's not good. But
No, there are no school. Oh, there is a school zone, but my hours
very
always
rarely, I'm sure.
yeah, that always avoid. It depends where I'm going, I guess, but I can avoid the school zones pretty easily, and it doesn't affect my time too much.
Yeah, okay. We just talked about school zones on our podcast, so I think it's time to end it there.